Is that? Everybody okay? Everybody okay? Hey, come around the back. We just had a shootout here at Smokerstown at King Street. I was out there. I told about four or five shots. You know what's the address? It's right by Food Lion.
Hey.
Hey, call Rico.
What the hell?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Andrews the Podcast. If this is your first time here, first of all, welcome. Thank you for joining us. What I need you guys to do immediately, right, as you come in the door, just treat it like a doorbell. Go ahead and hit that like button so we can bring as many people to this conversation tonight. By far, this is one of the most important conversations that's going to happen in Georgetown, Williamsburg County tonight, at least. And yeah, hit that like button as you come on in so we can get as many people here. I have a super show packed for you tonight, planned for you tonight. In regards to the video that you saw in the opener there, just to give, those of you who are paying attention an update, there has been an arrest in that case, okay? And let me pull this up on the screen real fast and I'll share this with you all. And there's the individual, the alleged shooter. And of course, I don't have his name right at the thing. Okay, so yeah, it's a 21-year-old, let's see, King Street Police Department said 21-year-old Kanye Delvin Tisdale faces charges of attempted murder and possession of a weapon during a violent crime. Okay, and again, this is the alleged shooter in from the video that you guys saw earlier. Now, what we're gonna do, there's another angle of the shooting that that has popped up online, and you can find it on my page also. But it answers a lot of questions, especially for me, because I thought that the alleged shooter there, I thought he fell when he was going after this guy. But in fact, he did not fall. The young man who is pictured here on the screen again actually got not him. He got shot. He was injured. The shooter was injured. He was shot in the leg, apparently. And so that's where we are with that. But we're going to have a great conversation tonight. And you know me, I'm online. I'm checking things out. I'm patrolling. Also, guys, the mayor is traveling, so he'll be joining us here shortly. So before I go too far into this conversation, let me send him that link because he could already be kind of set up. That's why we started a little later than normal. But I'll tell you what, let's do that on the other side of this right here. I can do that while I'm doing this, and then I'll bring up and I'm bringing up Attorney Caesar McKnight. Okay, we use him right here over at Welcome to Andrews the Podcast. Hell of a lawyer, hell of an attorney, same thing. But he's going to be on tonight because I like I said, I'm patrolling Facebook and I saw his page where somebody actually came at him and it was like, "Well, what are you doing?" You know what I mean? And I don't know if they're aware of the fact that he's not in public office anymore. But he did let the young lady know that. And but there's a greater conversation around him. Caesar McKnight is an ex state legislator, who put some legislation forth that you hear in general conversation now. But we'll unpack all that, and I'll let him unpack it and get into it. So again, y'all hit that like button, and you know what I mean? Send this to somebody that you know that need to hear this. Y'all, you know how you do that on Facebook. Send this to somebody you need to that you know need to hear this. All right. Boom. So without further ado, let me I'm sorry, y'all. That the ice raids got my I told y'all before, got my production team kind of behind the curve. But anyway, right after this, Caesar McKnight. In times of trouble, you need someone who knows the law, knows the community, and knows how to fight for you. The law offices of Caesar McKnight, right here in Kingstree, South Carolina, is committed to protecting your rights and protecting your future. From criminal defense, personal injury, to family law. When the stakes are high, experience matters. And so does someone who listens. Call today and get a competent, passionate, and effective legal team on your side. Because when life hits hard, you don't have to go through it alone. The law offices of Caesar McKnight, justice for real people, serving the Kingstree and surrounding South Carolina communities. Call now or visit the website today or stop by for a free consultation. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you see him right there, Caesar McKnight, sir. How are you? Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Oh, excuse me, goodness. Good evening, everybody, and hey, Jamal. Hey, Mr. Richardson, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, brother. I appreciate you for taking up some time out of your busy schedule, man, to come and to add to this conversation. I said today in the promo, you know, I said it kind of like jokingly, but I was dead serious when I said that I was raising the IQ level of the podcast tonight. So I appreciate you being here. And let's get right in it. That video, that incident that happened about first. Let's start off for the people that don't know who you are. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Give a little bit about your background, and then let's get into that. I apologize. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. Well, you know, I'm Caesar McKnight, as you already said. I practice law. I've been practicing law now since 2002. Been throughout the state of South Carolina. My practice is mostly personal injury, and I do some criminal defense in both state and federal courts, and sometimes I practice out in other states as well. I have been a solo. Well, when I say solo practitioner, I've had my own practice since 2007. Prior to that, I worked in Charleston for the Clekus law firm. But in 2007, I opened my own practice, first in Lake City. And then I brought my practice to Kingstree. I'm originally from, even though I live in Kingstree, went to high school Kingstree, I'm originally from Salters, primarily from the St. Lawrence community, where my mother still lives. My parents still live there until my father passed in 2021. So I'm the proud father of one daughter. Her name's Claire Elizabeth. And that's pretty much it. And like you also told them, I served in the South Carolina legislature. I did 4 terms. Our terms are 2-year terms. So I did 8 years in the South Carolina legislature from 2015 until 2022. At one time I ran for Senate. Well, I ran for Senate twice. The first time I ran for Senate, I ran against Yancey McGill. Lost that race by 81 votes. Ran again in 2014 when Representative Anderson and now our current Senator Ronnie Sabb ran, and I lost that by 33 votes. And so I took the House seat, and I was there until I lost in 2022. So since that time, I've just been your friendly neighborhood lawyer, and that's pretty much everything in a nutshell for me.
And as the friendly neighborhood lawyer, you were when in terms of this situation or these situations that's taking place in Kingstree, because it's not, and at this point it's not an isolated situation. And what I'm talking about is the violence. you made a post and someone pretty much came after you and saying, what is it that you're doing?
Yeah.
And
Well,
so you had to kind of lay out how you responded to that. And yeah.
Well, in particular, the person didn't suggest. They said I was being condescending, and that I was finger pointing. And if you look at my Facebook page, which is open, with regard to any of the violence that's occurred in the last 6 or 7 months, I've not pointed fingers at anyone. And when I speak about the community, I always speak about it as being us. I live here. I am a part of the community. I'm not above anything. So we're going to live and or die together. And that's been my view. So when I pointed, what I did was I shared your video of the shootout. And I said, we cannot fix what we will not face. That's a quote that I try to live by. We tend to avoid hard things because they're painful, they're uncomfortable. But I found that growth never occurs when you're comfortable. Growth occurs when you are uncomfortable, when you're not at ease. So when I listed that, she literally, she said I was being condescending, and she asked me, she also said that, one, I was an elected official, and that, she wanted to know what I planned to do about it, what were my suggestions. And I took the time to lay it out for her that, one, I wasn't in office anymore, and two, and I gave her four examples of four things that I think we could do as a community or things that need to be done to tackle this issue of violence. So I started practicing law like I said, in 2002, and went out on my own in 2007. And when I went out in 2007 on my own in 2007, I did a lot of drug litigation cases, particularly in federal cases. When crack was at its height, when we had the streets flooded with cocaine, we didn't have the level of violence now. And I'm not at all suggesting to go back to that. No, I'm glad that we don't have the level of drugs in our community that we had before. But there has been a steady uptick in violent crime throughout the country, and in particular in a small rural community like Kingstree. And I mean, Andrews has had some difficulties, but Georgetown, Lake City. And so, it's easy to close your eyes and say, oh, this doesn't affect me, but this violence affects everyone. Let's assume for a moment a person doesn't have any children. I don't have any children. This doesn't affect me. Yes, it does. This violence affects the value of your home, because when people begin to look at buying homes in a particular area, they're going to look at the crime stats. And if they see what the level of violent crime is for some place like Kingstree, it's shocking. And that has a direct correlation on that, and the fact that our schools aren't good really hurts that bottom line. So, but the person asked me essentially what I wanted to do, or what I suggested that we do to improve or reduce the violence. So I gave her four ideas. I've got a few more, but number one, I think we should hold parents criminally responsible for the actions of their minor children in specific instances. Now,
go ahead. I was going to say, unpack that a little bit, because.
Okay. So what I mean about that is what I've seen, not necessarily so much here, but definitely in Colombia. I've seen instances where kids have committed violent crimes, and their mothers in particular have lied to the police, coached their kids on what to say, told them where to go to hide. And what's happened in Richland County is Sheriff Lott has started locking up parents. If you've lied to the police, well, then you've aided and abetted, or you're an accessory after the fact, and he criminally charged them. And I think that once you lock up or prosecute one or two parents, everyone else will get the message that, hey, I understand it's your child, but you can't break the law or help them break the law to protect them. So what I said was any parent that lies to the police or tries to cover for the violent acts of their child should be arrested and prosecuted immediately. Also, it should be a criminal offense not to know where your children are. If they're missing, you need to report them. Otherwise, if the child commits a crime and the parents claim they do not know where they were, the parent should be charged with child neglect, and any other children in their custody should be removed from the home. You see it all the time. I don't know where he is. I don't know what he did. And then subsequently, you'll see the text messages from where the parent is telling that child, don't come back here, or, go here, I'll pick you up, or they're washing bloody clothes or destroying bloody clothes. That's not going to help anything. And so I think once it goes forward that everybody, particularly the parents, can be held responsible, I think you'll see people in the community tighten up and do what they're supposed to do. The other thing I suggested was banning the wearing of poo shiesty masks in public. Here's an interesting fact. It's illegal for a member of the Ku Klux Klan in South Carolina to wear a full face mask. They can wear the hoodie, but they can't wear a mask that hides their identity. Now, and I'm not comparing these young men to the Klan or whatever, but these poo shiesty masks that we see on kids, they're not there for expression. They're there to hide their identity, particularly when you see them in the 100-degree, 100% humidity in the summertime. You got on a poo shiesty mask not to be cool. You got on a poo shiesty mask because you're about to do something that you don't have any business doing. So the other thing I suggested was we strictly enforce the gun laws that we currently have on the books. Particularly, we need to start locking up people who make straw purchases. People who make straw purchases of guns that end up in the hands of children unlawfully and or are used in crime should be prosecuted and sent to prison.
All right, unpack straw
I was about to tell
purchase. There you go.
A straw purchase is when someone legally buys a firearm to give to someone who can't legally have that firearm. What used to happen back in the day was you'd have young ladies from New York get on the train, ride all the way down to South Carolina, buy a bunch of guns, and take them all the way back up to New York.
Buy the guns legally.
Legally. They'd buy them legally, but take them up to New York to be used. So what we have here, the guns that you see now, the kids aren't buying them themselves. They're being bought legally and given to them. Or they're paying somebody to buy them for them. So what I would encourage, what I'd like for law enforcement to do is enact zero tolerance. When there's a gun used in a crime, we're running serial numbers. You should run serial numbers and go talk to who it's registered to. Like if I had a gun, I have a responsibility as a gun owner. If my gun's stolen out of my car, I need to report that gun. And believe it or not, I've had a firearm stolen out of my car. And I reported that firearm to the police. And 2 years later, I got a call from the FBI saying, hey, we have your firearm in Charlotte. We got it off of this person. Do you know this particular person? I said, no, sir, I don't. I said, do you see where I reported it stolen? Yes, sir, we do. And I said, may I have my gun back? And they said, of course you can have your gun back when we're finished prosecuting the person. So as a gun owner, it's incumbent upon you to do what you're supposed to do with your gun. And it's also important for people to understand you shouldn't be going in the stores buying a gun for someone who can't lawfully have one. You need to ask yourself, why are you asking me to buy the gun? If a person can legally buy a gun, they should go buy it themselves. But they make that straw purchase, give it to that person, and that gun is then used subsequently in crimes. So those people that are making straw purchases, they need to be locked up. And I think, and it's usually girlfriends, significant
who act like, and as soon as they put the clamps on them, they don't know, you know what I mean? I got kids, you know what I mean, and all this other foolishness. But they facilitate this thing. And for context, guys, here is a poo shiesty, right?
Yeah,
that's a poo shiesty mask. I'm gonna protect my lawyer right here and say that we're not disparaging poo shiesty himself. Look at that. No. Look at that. I've been around you for 10 minutes and I'm already I'm joking. But this is a poo shiesty, guys. This is it. And you're going to see a lot more of them during this time of the year because it's fashionable.
Yeah, it's fashionable. I mean, think about it like this: we've got pro football players that are playing in the NFL that play in Pooh Shiesty masks, a la George Pickens from the Dallas Cowboys. So you think, and rightly so, and he's a wonderful player. I mean, I hate the fact that he plays for the Cowboys, but that's a story for another time. But he's a great talent. So you can imagine that there's a child out there that wants to be George Pickens, and I'm gonna do what George Pickens does because George Pickens is a great a great wide receiver. No, the Pooh Shiesty masks that we're seeing, they're not being used in that context. And don't get me wrong, I have what you could call a Pooh Shiesty mask, but mine's camouflage, and I wear it when I go deer hunting because it's cold and it keeps my ears and my bald head warm. But that's not what we're having here. We got people just walking around with a Pooh Shiesty mask, and they're carrying Dragos, which is a firearm, and they're just doing whatever they want to do without regard to the wellness and safety of the people around them. The other thing that I said is that, and let me just say this, what I'm saying publicly isn't at all beneficial to my law practice. I do criminal defense, so I know there's some people that are going to feel some kind of ways and think he's not going to be for me. That's not the case. But I live here, and I was there in the parking lot of Food Line on Saturday when they were shooting at the vape shop. What if my daughter were there? What if she got hit? What if my mother was at the grocery store shopping? In particular, remember, it was just 3 weeks ago, they were shooting in Food Line itself down the aisles. And these guns aren't your Saturday night specials or, some throwaway. These guys they've got real firepower. AR-15s, AK-47s.
Switches on the Glocks.
Switches on the Glocks. Clips that hold 100 plus rounds. I mean, they're able to deliver a large amount of firepower in a short amount of time and do a whole lot of damage. And the other thing I said too is our community must rid itself of the whole notion of no snitching. For years, particularly in the Black community, it's been forbidden to cooperate with the police. Okay. And beyond that, especially here in Williamsburg County and around in Georgetown and Andrews, we're so polite, i.e. phony, that we shut up and smile and go along with things even though we know it to be wrong or illegal. We know in our community who's got the guns. We know in our community who's doing the shooting. We know who the perpetrators of violence are, but we don't say anything. We just let it go, and we expect law enforcement to come in, read minds, and solve crimes without any help, without any buy-in from the community. Hey, we got great law enforcement people, but you've got to help them out. They weren't there when the shooting took place. They can't be everywhere all at once. So when you see something, you need to say something. And that doesn't mean you have to jump up on the witness stand and testify and do whatever.
I mean,
there are ways of making anonymous tips.
And I mean, the idea of you being afraid of protecting your community where you live, where your kids live. I had a conversation prior to this. I would never share this lady's name. She works in Kingstree, and she's afraid to go to work. So, and we'll get into the aspect of that where businesses are going to turn away. But here's something that I would love Mr. George Barr to explain to me, because this is something else we say, who's pushing the agenda. Kind of unpack that real fast, Mr. George, before we go to the next part of this, please. I'm curious to know as to what agenda, who pushed this agenda right here. This don't look like no agenda to me. This look like this right here for me, from my training, right? From my training in drill music. This right here, this looks like my man right here in the black jacket. If I'm keeping score, right? This looks like my man in the black jacket. He was on his thing. He understand the time it is. He's at war. There's a war going on in Kingstree. And here's the other thing about this. it's playing out online, right? So, and that's a reason why I started to study the drill in Chicago. That whole thing that DJ Academics put on, the war in Chirac, is literally something that law enforcement need to start studying, because this is not happening. These people, these aren't the most sophisticated kids in school. You can look at the testing and say that. I said that, right? And so you can go and look at, because some of them in my inbox, and I'm forwarding their information to law enforcement, and I am willing to help you guys decipher the language. That's why I listen to the music, because it's the language of the youth right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
and we have parents that will claim that they don't know what their children are up to. And you go to their child's Facebook page, you go to their child's Instagram or TikTok, and they got guns. They have guns galore. They're throwing up gang signs and they're telling the world this isn't somebody that's got a gun hidden in the mattress or hidden out in the woods. They are telling you that this is what I do. They say it on their social media, but
listen, if you a parent right now, I challenge you to go to your son or daughter's page. If they got pages like this, you know what I mean, where they in the they not pointing at the camera. That's symbolizing, you know what I mean? If they got multiple photos like this, if they throwing up different signs, like, so, one of the things I do is I take pictures along during high school football. I'm a big high school football fan, Andrew, blah, 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 blah. But so that brings me in contact with a lot of these high schoolers. And some of them who I know, man, I know your mama, I know your daddy, you're not built like that, first of all, and you're not into that. Do you know what you're doing? And so they'll tell you, as soon as they get in the camera, they'll start, doing, nah, we're not doing that. You know what I mean? Because your mama might not know what it is. I know what it is. And I know that it's not coming from nowhere. This ain't just, you know what I mean? So, but I apologize. I got a little long one, but go ahead. Are you trying to read what he's saying?
I'm saying all in general, not just this, not just the clip. I'm saying all over. I think what he's trying to suggest is that there's some sort of conspiracy to put this out there. No, there's not. What we've had is we have had our community fail our young people by not holding them accountable, particularly our young men. It's been my experience in just looking around that mothers tend to raise their daughters and love their sons. And what I mean by that is, if you go into a home with a mother, just say a mother that has a son and a daughter, the daughter, she can cook, she can clean. Mom's having conversations about education and books and what she should do and moving on and being a power broker. And all she wants Tyquavius to do is lets him go in the room and play video games all day.
All day. Hey,
all day.
And to your point, guys, I said this when I was watching this video. We're looking at two misplaced high-level soldiers that could have been in the military on both ends of this with the instincts there. But again, they're wasting them away on Call of Duty, on Grand Theft, but go ahead.
And again, I'm not blaming the violence on the I'm not blaming the violence on the video games,
because by no means,
because
I had violent video games.
Right, because I hear older people say it's the video games, and I respectfully told somebody who's a lot older than me, I said, there wasn't a more violent time on television than the 50s, 60s, and 70s when you guys had every night a whole bunch of Westerns and somebody got killed or shot every single episode. Mm-hmm. And so to sit here and suggest that it's video, no, that's not it.
Go ahead.
But what you have then is when they don't raise their sons, like I see mothers who are hiring landscaping companies to cut their grass. And you have a teenage son. Why? Him cutting the grass, he's not going to die. When he gets hot, his body will tell him to go get him a stomach full of water out of that hose and go sit in the shade and cool off. And beyond that, he's learning a skill that he can earn money from. And in particular, he's taking care of his house. But no, we don't do that. We don't. And God forbid someone chastises or tries to correct a young man, the mothers go just berserk. And so that's why you've also seen in our community, a lot of men have retreated, because when they step up and say something, they get ostracized. They get called sellouts. They get called every name in the book, because we don't want to take accountability for our problems. The government cannot fix what's going on within our community. There's no level of legislation, nothing that you can do. I don't care how many after-school programs you're bringing in. If you're not holding your children accountable at home and have done so, then no one else in the street can do that, because 9 times out of 10, you're not going to let them, because the minute the child says something, oh, Mr. Caesar hurt my feelings, then you're ready to kill Mr. Caesar. No. No. And I'm not at all suggesting let somebody abuse children. No, correcting a child doesn't mean you got to beat them or do whatever. But if you love them, you will correct them. But we don't have that. And so what we have now are a bunch of young men who haven't been pushed. They've been coddled. And the other thing, the bigger elephant in the room, is that we need to look at the fact that a man's frontal lobe, the thing that controls his impulses, that doesn't fully mature until he's 25 years old. Okay?
And that's if he's not on weed and coke and alcohol and all this other stuff. We're talking the best case scenario right here.
Exactly. And so when you take those substances, weed, alcohol, at an age prior to 25, you're stunning the growth of your frontal lobe, which controls your impulse. Just to keep it, that's why we say that women mature faster than men. Their frontal lobes develop faster. They're more mature. They deal with things better. Men are more impulsive. Really, to be honest with you, men really don't come into manhood until they get past 30. 18 to 35 is a really dangerous time for young men. And so they don't need, and especially at 25, you don't need to be taking anything to your body that's going to keep you from being able to control yourself. But when you're on Molly, ecstasy, weed, or any combination of those three or even more stuff, they have no impulse control. And so that's what that's the problem. And even more so, our community needs to, and I'm gonna get in trouble for this, but I don't care.
Oh, not over here on Welcome. This is called Real Talk.
I will say this too. One thing about our community is we need to stop idolizing thugs.
Yes.
I'll give you, and I see it all, it's because I've heard it, because I hear it all the time. If you see a guy that's doing well, a young man that's got a 9 to 5, just being a good citizen, you know what they call him? They call him corny. They do. And he's not lauded. He's not applauded. But let Ty Quavius come with his pants behind his butt looking all gangster. That's somehow deemed to be masculine or the ideal masculinity in our community. And that has to stop. We have to internally change the way that we do things. We have to hold each other accountable. We're responsible for one another. And
I'm with you, because that's not just a talking point. Like, this man and myself have daughters that 9 and 10 years old, and we had the conversation about who are they going to marry? One of these dudes right here. Not them, because these guys are older, obviously, but it's so I guess And to be a devil's advocate right here in this point right here, I guess what this gentleman right here was saying, this is part of the larger system, right? But my thing is, when y'all say this is part of the larger system, I'm talking about these platforms degeneracy. Degeneracy has become Black culture.
Right.
And so again, it's still a choice. That's what freedom, freedom comes with responsibilities. But go ahead.
Hip hop's the only genre of music where someone can openly advocate the murder of someone else and nothing be said. You do not hear anyone in country music talking about, I'm gonna gun down Billy Bob at the OK Corral. They just don't. It's us.
Yeah.
And it's so bad. It's sad that we live in a time that when you see a young male or a group of young males, you instantly get on 10 and you become on guard because you're afraid of them. That's frightening. I don't want to live in a world like that. I want to live in a world where if I see some young people, number one, I'm envious because they're young, because I'm getting old. I'm past 50. But I want to be able to be proud of them. And and again, let me just say this. No one's going to be perfect. And nobody wants anybody to be perfect. But we should strive for the good. And we shouldn't, but we are not doing that. And we're going to have to, in our homes, focus in on our boys. They're being lost. I mean, it's an epidemic. If they're not going to jail, they're dying. It's amazing how many young people you realize we lost 2 graduating seniors in King Street less than a month after they walked cross stage. 2. Not to mention the other children who weren't seniors or graduated that got killed. That's absolutely tragic. I can't imagine the pain that a parent feels knowing that their child's dead, or to have to come home to a house where there's normally noise from active children to the silence of death and absence. That's frightening to me. And my heart goes out to anybody who's lost a child to violence. But we need to do something to save the rest. And I'm sorry, hard times call for hard action. And if we have to sacrifice 1 or 2 for the good, then 1 or 2 must go. And when I say sacrifice them, I'm not talking about killing them. I'm talking about if they have to be incarcerated, so be it. Because it's frightening to know that people have to be scared to go to the grocery store. 2 p.m. on a Sunday, after when grandmama is trying to make it home and, I forgot, I got to get some rolls for daddy because I know he likes Hawaiian bread rolls with his roast beef, and she's ducking and hiding because there's gunfire in the grocery store. Not to mention the adverse effect that this is going to have on our businesses. See, most people don't realize this, but grocery stores in particular operate on a razor-thin profit margin.
Very razor thin.
That's why you have this consolidation of grocery stores in the country, like Albertsons owns all the chains. Mm-hmm. So when it becomes unprofitable for a grocery store, they will close. King Street at one time, believe it or not, King Street at one time had 5 grocery stores. 5. We're down to 2. And if we continue on the path that we are on now, we're going to have to go to Lake City, Manning, Georgetown, or somewhere else to buy groceries. That is a frightening concept. And I don't think people realize how the danger that this particular community is in. There's not, and I hear everybody say, well, we need jobs. What job going to come here where the president or the CEO of the company can't let his wife go to the grocery store? Or that's going to bring a business here that hires people when he knows he can't get the educated workforce because we have failing schools. This is a community fix, and we're going to have to fix it. And we've got to get out of the habit of just smiling, glad handing, and not saying something because we don't want someone to feel bad. There are times we should feel bad. Right now, we should be feeling horrible. We got a graveyard full of children, and we are under siege. There's nothing to feel good about. Nothing.
And so when in your time as because we get these politicians here, we get these representatives here, and in your time at the State House, what, because we're talking about stronger legislation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying this mainly for the lady that came after you, because maybe she don't know. All right. And I'm going to put something on the screen right here, and I need you to help me out with it. Right.
Okay.
All right. And what you guys are looking at on the screen, if you can scroll to the top of it.
This right here.
Yeah. All right. It's the South Carolina State Legislature.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of talk to me like I'm a 5-year-old and tell me what this website is and what's here, because I'm leading to a point, guys. And let me go ahead and just give it to you, and then I'll let Mr. McKnight go ahead and break it down for you, unpack it for you. During his time in office, right, and I want you to pay attention to what I'm saying. He was up there in Columbia while a lot of y'all think he wasn't, you know what I mean? Because you hear people when they get whatever idea they get in their head. But here's where you could go and see the proof is in the pudding. And I want you to go and weigh what he was doing for the people as far as getting a law passed. You probably need to go back to when I'm gonna play that cartoon when the bill is a bill and go through that whole process or whatever. But while you're talking, I'm gonna find that. Okay. But I need you to kind of unpack what people need to go here. Because now I'm pointing the finger at the who they thought you were, an elected official. So talk about what you put forth in regards to this kind of gun violence and this thing with the parents. But go ahead and break that down for us.
Okay, so what you're looking at here is the South Carolina, the official website for the South Carolina legislature. It's called it's scstatehouse.gov. And on this website, you can find every piece of legislation that a legislator, that's being a senator or a state representative, has introduced, meaning a bill that they have sponsored. There's 2 levels of sponsorship. There's a general sponsor and there's a primary sponsor. When someone's a primary sponsor, that means they wrote the bill, they introduced the bill. So what I'm showing you now is from my first term in the House from 2015 to 2016. And so the very first bill I ever introduced to the legislature was this bill here, House Bill 3105, which would give a tax deduction to anyone who, when they graduated from college, came to a tier 4 county. That means an impoverished county like Williamsburg. If they came and moved here and taught for the first 5 years that they were here in Williamsburg County teaching, they would be exempt from the state income tax, meaning the only tax they would be paying was federal income tax. I introduced this bill back in 2015, and I kept reintroducing the bill. And finally, my last term, I got the bill passed in the legislature, and it was added to the budget. But then COVID struck, we closed, and it never came back. So these are just, so when you have someone who's a legislator, you can tell, you want to know what they're doing at the State House. This tells you what they're doing. So the other thing that you see a lot, so these are the bills that I've introduced. Like, here's another bill, the Online Impersonation Prevention Act. I was trying to make it a crime for someone to pretend to be you on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. The other bill that I introduced, and even though I introduced it, this is now against the law, is the malicious publication of photographs. And I wanted to make it a crime for someone to post nude pictures of someone online without their permission. Another bill I introduced was the Uniform Fiduciary Access to Digital Access Act. That basically allows you to, in a will, bequeath all of your digital assets. So anything that's online that belongs to you, that you actually own, music, pictures, what have you, you can go ahead and do it. And how I decided to do this is because I saw California was doing it. Now, the other thing that legislators do is they introduce things called resolutions. And these are just bills that recognize, it's not even a bill, but it's just a recognition of someone who's done something in the community. This is the first one I did, was to congratulate Betty E. Gordon on the occasion of her retirement for her 56 years of dedicated service at the hospital. All right. And then another resolution I did is I recognized Dr. Herman Gibson, shout out to Reverend Gibson, for his 70th birthday. This other bill, and so these are the different bills that I've introduced that first time. And the other bill, one of the other bills I think a lot of people would like is I wanted to make it so that we would have all 32 teams, NFL teams, license tags. So you could, if you want to get the Dallas Cowboys, you get the Cowboys. You get the Redskins, you can do that. And here is another bill I introduced for the mandatory dress code for school children. I still think that's a good idea because it cuts down on what you spend for back to school. If you just got to wear khakis and a polo shirt, it's so much cheaper to buy khakis, 5 pair of khakis, 5 polo shirts, 2 pair of shoes, than it is buying all the designer clothes that kids want to wear back to school. And it cuts down on discipline issues because we all know, you remember, we had songs for people who had cheap shoes. Remember Rejects? They make your feet feel fine. Yeah, Rejects, they cost $1.99. You remember that, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, here, this bill, House Bill 4542, is a bill that I actually got signed into law. And this is what's called the experimental health care law. And what it says is if someone's dying of a terminal illness and there's a treatment or a medicine that's not yet been approved by the FDA, because they're dying or dying, they get to use that experimental treatment in an effort to live. That bill I introduced, and as you can see here, it was signed into law by the governor on June 3rd, 2016. So as a freshman legislator, as a Democratic freshman legislator in a supermajority legislature, I was able to get legislation introduced, passed into law. And the way you do that is by not always being on one side, being partisan. I'm willing to work with anybody who's willing to do good things. So that means you have to reach across the aisle to Republicans. And yes, I know we live in a majority Democrat area, but guess what? Republicans have good ideas too. Republicans love their children. Republicans don't want crime. Republicans want low taxes and they want good schools just like we do. So rather than looking at the things that separate us, it's more effective to focus on the things that we have in common. My 60% friend is not my 40% enemy. That's the worst way to get things done, particularly when I was in a party where they were the extreme minority in the House. So other you can look back here.
So hold on, let me pull it back up on the screen. And what I want to, so that again, I want to break it down. These bills is what a legislator does. Where, okay, so you're not sitting home and just coming out of your mind and saying, hey, I just want to create this law. This stuff is coming from where?
So it comes from me reading the news, scholarly journals, and also talking to people in the community to find out what they need. Because there's a bill I introduced to where you should be able to garnish someone's wages who has a judgment from magistrate's court. what gave me the idea from that bill is sitting down with some of my local magistrates who were telling me that they have people who are acting as if they're contractors, building people's stuff and taking their money. And these contractors would have hundreds of judgments, but there'd be no way for the people to collect on that judgment. So to try to give the law some teeth, I introduced that. So it's a combination of reading, paying attention, talking to the people who make up your community and finding out what your community needs. But you have to be, I think if you want to be an effective legislator, one that gets laws passed, you need to have your nose to the ground and also looking at what's going on in other states. One thing I love to do is I study people who are successful and I copy them. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. So if there's a state that's similarly situated like us that's doing well, give you an example, Mississippi, who went from the absolute bottom in education and now they run circles around us. Let's see what Mississippi did that made them more successful than us, and let's try to emulate it here. But in general, I introduced 21 different bills my first year in the House. And go ahead.
One second, Mr. C. Levon Daniels. Okay. How about reading the Word of God? Obviously, we're not having a religious conversation now. Okay. We're not even having a political conversation now. So if you don't like or you don't follow the conversation, please stop cluttering the chat with nonsense. Okay? I'm asking you nicely. Please stop doing that. All right? Nobody cares about how you feel and how mad you are and what you think the solution is. Now, what I can do is provide a link and then you can come on up here and talk with us. But, okay? Because obviously you got the answers and nobody else does. But I apologize, sir. Go ahead.
No, I mean it's fine. So 21 bills my first term and one of them turned into law. So we can go to the next term that I was in court. I mean not court, excuse me, Lord. Hold on, let's back up. Wait a minute, how did I do this the last time? 2015.
I tell you what.
Yeah.
That was your freshman year.
That was my freshman year.
What about the legislatures that's in office now? In this climate, this gun violence hasn't started. Let's go and look at the legislatures who and that would be District 32 would be Ronnie Sabb, Kirby, everybody's favorite Kirby, Mr. Kirby, no disparaging on Mr. Roger Kirby or whatever. This is Roger, right?
Yeah, that's him.
That's him. Okay, let's see what they've done in this climate. Now, since the person wanted to ask you, who's not an elected official,
okay, and let me just say this: the last bill that I introduced in the House was a bill that I called Taylor's Law, and that's because we had a young lady out of the Lake City area who was murdered by her estranged boyfriend, killed her at home in the presence of her two children. And for months, she had been trying to get a restraining order to keep him away. And the magistrate's court, based upon the law, wouldn't give her one. So finally, he came there one day, broke in the house, killed her dead. So, but if you want, you mentioned a specific one. We'll look at all the bills that he's done. So this is Roger's page. So we'll look at his sponsored legislation let's look at the past 2023, 2024. This is the legislation that he's done. So it's a resolution to congratulate the Honorable Yamiki F. Robinson on her recent election. That's the mayor of Lake City. They have allegedly some problems over there.
Whoa. They don't have no problem. They're going bankrupt over there. I think I'm safe in saying that. As an attorney, am I safe in saying that?
Well, yeah, I don't know that they're going bankrupt, but they have some. They were talking about it, but they definitely have some financial issues.
All right. See, y'all see that? Y'all see that? Wow. But go ahead.
So, and he did. You can see where he took my bill, the bill that the orders of protection, and tried to introduce it himself, but it didn't do anything with it. There's an heirs property commission bill that he put out. Here's another resolution to honor Rusty Smith for his retirement. Rusty Smith is the former county administrator for Florence. Here's another resolution to honor the Waynesburg Academy football team for their impressive 2A championship. And another resolution here to honor Andre McFadden Presley for the wrestling team for capturing the state championship.
And to be fair,
yeah,
resolutions is a part of the, I guess, the job title, or a part of what a representative does.
Yeah, but it's just an attaboy, and no one votes on it. You just say, "Hey, give this resolution," and they add everybody who's a member of the House to the particular resolution. It's not. It's basically congratulations. That's what it is. And so he's also introduced a bill here, and this is a bill that got turned into law, but it deals only with the Florence County School District 3. Here's another resolution to name a road after somebody, and another resolution to honor the National Center of the Year, and another resolution to express sorrow for the passing of W.B. Wilson. And here's another resolution to amend the law. This bill right here deals with adaptive kindergarten something. So
where is it? I mean, and what year is this?
This is this past legislative session. This is 2023, 2024.
So for all of you who want to ask what's being done as far as what are your elected representatives of what are they doing, I refer you to this website that is open to the public, and you can see for yourself. Public. You can check the scorecard for yourself.
Yeah, you listen. It's like being in elementary math. As a legislator, you should be able to show your work, and showing your work is more than coming by and singing gospel songs and giving out fish sandwiches. That's not it. So here we go with there's a resolution where, I mean, this is a bill he introduced for another piece of local legislation. This is the South Lynch's Fire Department. But here's another resolution for the passing of Coach Gaskins. Here's another resolution to celebrate the life of Ted Holt Walter.
And these people deserve to be honored. This is not disparaging them. What I'm trying to impart upon you guys is when you ask the question, what's being done? Here's what's being done here's what Roger Kirby has done for your vote since he's been up there, as far as trying to move some type of legislation, some type of law, because that's what you're ultimately asking. Hey, what are you doing?
Right.
That's here's the answer to your question, what they're doing.
Yeah, and it's all just resolutions. So that time before, it's almost all resolutions. Now let's see. Let's go back and we'll go to 2019, 2020.
All right, before you jump on that, I got Ms. Rose Parsons. She said her husband, and then she says, Ms. Rose, could you please unpack that a little bit more? Who did you reach out to about the Taylor bill and got no response? But go ahead, Mr.
Yeah. So this is a bill for the millage increase for a municipality that he introduced. Here's another resolution to commemorate. Now, this is something that definitely needs. This honors Fraser Baker. For those that don't know, Fraser Baker was the postmaster of Lake City in 1898. He was lynched. They shot and killed him, and murdered his newborn daughter, and the rest of his family had to run and hide in the woods until they could be rescued and taken to Boston. None of the people that killed Fraser or his daughter were ever prosecuted. They went to trial in Charleston at the federal courthouse, but surprise, they were acquitted.
And this happened in
1898. Fraser Baker. When you get a chance, just Google Fraser Baker. And as an aside, I knew nothing about this until one day I was in college, and I was in a Harlem Renaissance class looking in the footnotes, and they were talking about lynchings in the South, and it referenced places that had race riots, and it said Lake City, South Carolina. So, I started digging and became inquisitive, and that's what I found out, that's what they were talking about. But this session right here, he introduced two bills, total of 5. That's it. And general bills are the bills that are actually laws, not resolutions. These resolutions are the things that are the pats on the backs that they're giving people. So let's go back to, and hold on, we'll go here to 2018. Hold on. So here's a general bill. This is for the board of trustees for the school. He does a lot for Lake City now for that school district. And here's a resolution to honor Phyllis Bellflower of Lake Florence County, and another resolution to recognize Susan Gordon Welch, a teacher at Johnsonville. Another resolution to honor Joe Taylor, a guitarist, and another one to recognize Mulville of Charleston, running 85 marathons. Okay. Here's another resolution to recognize Ronald McNair. And here's a resolution for the Florence County School District again, and Marion County voting precincts, and another resolution to honor Savannah Green for her graduation from the University of South Carolina. This one deals with watercraft, and he did get this bill passed. This has to do with boats and fees. And here's another resolution that this is a general bill.
Where is what the people want to know, like they asking you, where is the legislation, the hard legislation that addresses what's going on in the ground in their district with the gun violence that is disproportionately affecting young Black men? That's the question that the people, I think, are ultimately asking. And from what you're telling me,
none.
Okay.
None. Now, and this is his first year, and it's all resolutions as well. Now, you mentioned Senator Sabb. Let's go, and you can see he's been in the legislature, in the House or Senate since 2012, and he may have introduced 4 pieces of legislation since he's been there.
No, Mr. McNabb, we talking about what's going on right now. I had you go through that whole process when you were in there to show that when you went to Columbia, you went to actually make a difference.
Yes.
Okay? I'm not campaigning for you. That's what the damn record shows.
You can campaign all you want. I ain't running no more. So let's just establish that. But I just want to put the facts where they are so that people can understand. So this is his first term as a representative. And so he extended the privilege brought the Hemingway girls to the basketball team to the House. That's him giving them a resolution. This is a resolution to recognize Ralph Anderson, whomever that is. Another resolution to recognize William Simon, the pastor of Bethel and Asbury United Methodist Church. A resolution to congratulate Longstreet Chevrolet for being awarded GM Mark of Excellence. A resolution to honor the Williamsburg Academy varsity football team. Another one to recognize the Williamsburg Academy football team. Another one to recognize Buck Carter, who was a trooper who died. And another resolution to the members of for the passing of Dr. June. So his first term in office, he didn't introduce a single piece of legislation. It was just all resolutions. So go ahead.
All right. So listen, let me pause real fast. I'm gonna bring the mayor in. Mayor,
we'll switch gears.
No, we don't have to switch gears. You coming in hot. This man is battle tested. He got the real medals to prove it. And I'm sure he can handle a little because all right, Mayor, what we're doing is we are unpacking this gun violence situation. I'm sure you're aware of what's been going on the internet. In real time with the gun violence in your city, and we just had incidents pop off in King Street here recently, and so me and Attorney McKnight had a long conversation about he pretty much was attacked online. Go ahead.
Let me first. No, actually, I had the pleasure of listening to you guys for a little while.
Okay, awesome.
I've been on an 8-hour trip and thoroughly enjoyed the information. So first of all, I want to welcome Attorney McKnight to Andrew's podcast, Real Talk Tuesday. Good stuff. And,
good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good to see you as always.
Yes, sir. Same here. And so I was just I was hesitant to come in tonight because it was such a rich discussion on things that needed this perspective from an attorney. And so I was just enjoying the conversation. But now I've arrived here in Washington, D.C., and I said, well, let me at least jump on to welcome Attorney McKnight and listen in and contribute where I can. But I'm here, and I know I just heard the transition, so I'm in, man. Let's go with it.
Right,
Welcome
so,
again, sir.
And what he's doing is. Go ahead, Steve. Go ahead.
What I was going to say is, having dealt with people like the mayor, District 101 never had Andrews in it, so I've never had a chance to do anything for the to do something on behalf of Andrews. I have worked in conjunction with Reverend Anderson on some legislation, but he's the representative there. But what I'm saying is, I've dealt with members of like our mayor, members of the King Street Town Council, Williamsburg County Council, in trying to get legislation to help them. Primarily as a legislator, your local politicians want you to bring home the bacon, bring money home to them. And so when I was in office, I always told my elected officials, if there's something you want in the budget, get it to me by September. Why September? Because that's when they start preparing the budget. This big thing right here is the proposed budget from 2020 to 2021 for the state of South Carolina. Every dollar that the state's going to spend is in here. So the trick is to get what it is you want into the budget when it's originally written. It's easy to get it in at the beginning because once the budget already gets created, they don't want to do a lot of additions. So I'll give you a classic example. St. Lawrence Community Center, which is near and dear to my heart. I went to Williamsburg County Council when we had the former county supervisor, Miss Cooks, and said, hey, I want you to tell me exactly how much it's going to take to make the St. Lawrence Community Center pool totally operational. Give me that number. Let me try to get it in the budget. So she gave me the number, $250,000. So what as a legislator is I do is I go to the chairman of Ways and Means. For those of you that don't know, the committee that controls the budget in South Carolina and the budget of pretty much any legislative body is known as the Ways and Means Committee. You go to the chairman. I went to the chairman of Ways and Means. At that time, it was Merle Smith. I said, and I had a good relationship with him. He's a lawyer. He's a Republican. He's from Sumter. So he gets it. And I said, hey, I've got a local community center that we need this pool fixed. It's how our children know how to swim. One of the good things about growing up in the St. Lawrence community, which made it sort of an anomaly, is everybody knew how to swim. And they knew how to swim because they had access to the pool. You get that money into the budget. I asked him for it. He said, he looked at me astonished, like, is this all you want? I said, yeah, this is all I want. And we got it in the budget and we got it passed. The same thing is true for the old St. Mark Elementary School. They needed $1 million to redo the roof for that building. They came and asked me to get the money into the budget, and I worked those channels and got the money into the budget. So I say that to say, and not only that, most people don't realize this, if you have a real not-for-profit, the state can give you money for your not-for-profit. You've just got to talk to the right people. Hopefully they can try to get in. And that's not to say it's going to happen, but those are some of the mechanisms you can use and that can be used to get the things we need. Now, just because you get it in the budget, it may not happen, but you need to know how the procedure works. And if the first person to the trough is the one that usually gets to eat the most. And so getting there early is what I used to emphasize to my local leaders. Tell me what you want early so I can get it in there. And I got to get there early because I don't have the clout, not being a member of the Republicans and being the majority party, to just move and shake like that. So it takes, hey, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? And getting it into the budget. And that's what I wanted. I want people to know. So your local legislators should be focused, and I'm talking about the ones that go to the State House, should be constantly talking to their local municipalities and finding out what exactly it is they need. And it's incumbent upon the municipalities and the county governments to go to their state reps and state senators and say, hey, this is what we need. It's about relationships. Forget about what you see on TV with everybody screaming about Republicans and Democrats. That's irrelevant. At the end of the day, it's what are you doing at home and what are you bringing home for the constituents? Are you getting the people the stuff that they need? And that's the big thing. And that's what I wanted to let you know.
Hey, one thing, I got a couple of questions for Mr. Manning. In terms of the budget, you said September. Is there any other opportunity for municipality to get with their delegation to try to get some funds? Is there another point along that year that it's good to engage with folks at that level?
When I say September is when you should have it to me by. That's when they start writing the budget. So anytime prior to September, you need to be sitting, yes, you need to be saying, hey, this is what I need. And I know you know this, Frank, because you're an Army guy, just like I was. You're only as good as your information. So you need to make it easy for your legislators to, spell it. I mean, the devil's in the detail. And the other thing I'll tell you, like anything else, ask for more than you need, because you may not get what if you need $5 and ask for $5, I may say, well, all I can give you is $2.50.
Yeah.
Right. But if you ask me for 10 and you really need 5 and I say, hey, I got 5, you met it. So but yes, you should. And it's not just it's a constant dialogue. I mean, you ain't got to call the state senator or the state rep every day, but when they're out of session, have your little wish list ready by September so that they can say, okay, let me try to get this. And then they can have that conversation with you and say, hey, I can help you on this time, but I took care of Andrews this time. I got to look out for Georgetown that time. Next time I'll come back to you. And so it's like that. There's no guarantee you're going to get it every you ask, but I know one thing that's guaranteed: you're not going to get anything if you do not ask.
And the other question, because again, you've done this for a long time. I've been in it now 10 years, and I, going to these different large sessions. We have this annual, municipalities meet, and it's like the county, and I would listen to. It's always therapeutic for me to go there and hear that these other places are having some of the same challenges, and then we get together and talk about how do we solve them. But what I've learned, the most effective county or counties is when there is a set time, more than once, that these local leaders come together with their delegation.
Are you suggesting that there's not a set time in Georgetown County?
So
I'm just saying. I mean, we can do real talk right now.
Yeah, I'm asking this.
Go ahead.
Still a senior leader. Has there ever been? And again, I know you didn't cover Georgetown. That wasn't your footprint. But has there ever been something consistently set where they can sit and have these conversations and talk about the needs or unmet needs of the county or the municipalities? Right now, we don't have that. I know the Chamber of Commerce generally brings together the delegation along with the local leaders, and that's not necessarily the best time to begin again to get into the details of what you may or may not have. So have that ever been during your tenure, and what are your thoughts on that?
Well, so when I served in the legislature, we never had set times, particularly with the Williamsburg County Legislative Delegation. Yep. We never had a set time. In fact, we rarely, if ever, met. And that's, you meet at the call of the chairman. And in Williamsburg County, the chairman is always the senator. When I first got in the office, I suggested that we rotate chairmanship. Like it would be me one time, next time it would be Representative Anderson, next time it would be Senator Sabb. He didn't want to do that. He insisted that because he was the senator, he wanted to be the chairman of the legislative delegation forever. Whereas other legislative delegations, the chairmanship rotates. It just goes around to keep someone from amassing a monopoly. But so we never had regular meetings with the with the legislative delegation. The only time we'd ever meet is almost if it was a crisis, like we had boards that we had to appoint people to because they lacked a quorum. You know, just using an example, let's say the board for Williamsburg Tech, let's say they didn't have enough members appointed to the board. You absolutely had to get somebody appointed because the board can't function because we didn't have a quorum.
That's
so
right.
No, but I think, Mr. Mayor, you're correct. If there should be some scheduled times, like I think ideally it should be before session starts, like August or August, and have something, after session closes. Like, okay, here's what we tried to do, and then we do it. So it's like a before action and an after action review, so that you can see and follow the progress of the things that you want. But no, to answer your question, no, I've not seen that. But I do know in other areas, in other parts of the state, their legislative delegations work really, really tightly, particularly in Charleston County. Their legislative delegations does really good stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's well, I know it's important. Again, coming from our background, as you indicated earlier, military guys, it's those things are structured, and you get the best result. There's no secret about what's happening, or not within your area of operation, or in your district at this point in time, or your town or city. And so what we have now, and I think because of not having that in place, a lot of it comes out during, like for us in the municipal association meeting, where we have this advocacy group built in within that, and they go out and speak on behalf of, they advocate for the things and needs. But I think we can narrow that down, because then again, they're dealing with 271 municipalities, where then if this delegation and these local leaders come together, more frequently, then you would know firsthand what the needs are. How do we help each other? How do we build? And in our case, I think Georgetown County can probably be one of the best because of where it's positioned, close to the water and all those things. And I know there's a different approach that has to happen for Williamsburg County because of, again, just based on where it's located. But there's still big opportunities I think can happen in Williamsburg and Georgetown that everyone can benefit from it if we can figure out how to work a little bit closer.
And there we go. We get into the source of it, because that is it's incumbent upon, in order for that to happen, there needs to be an education process, so that when we meet Senator Sabb, Representative Anderson, Representative Kirby, and wherever, the conversation ain't just about, oh man, just a good old boy, where you can ask a real question. Hey, what legislation have you passed, or put forth to try to address this situation? Because hey, me and my church are ready to get behind you, and we'll come to whatever in March, and do whatever we need to do to try to bring eyes to this. This is what I'm wanting the takeaway to be from this conversation right here, is that we need to understand, the average citizen needs to understand the role of these elected officials. Okay, we get asked to go and vote, and this type of thing. But what do you feel about what I just said there?
Yeah, well, I totally agree with you, and let me just say this, and I'm focused on Williamsburg first, but I have to say that Andrew's success is vital to the success of Williamsburg County. Look, just growing up in Salters, I mean, you realize how many people from Williamsburg County shop in Andrews, or work in Andrews, or get their water from Andrews? So
Yeah.
you can't. There's no way I think anyone who's really concerned about Williamsburg County can at all not want Andrews to succeed, because if Andrews fails, a lot of our residents in Williamsburg County are going to be adversely affected by that. I mean, it's
I think I lost C
left
there.
back in Georgetown. I mean, we're linked. I mean,
Yeah.
to the hilt. I mean, we're gonna live and die together. So so it's vital that Andrews continue to thrive, so that our people that live in the eastern and the southeastern part of the county are able to continue to have a good quality of life.
And I'll tell you, I'm glad you said that, because that's, and again, I'm still learning. I'm still learning how this engine operates, or should. But what you said is very important, because it is. And I don't know the entire state, footprint and how municipalities are positioned, but uniquely Andrews is across 2 counties.
Mm-hmm.
And so then what I've tried to articulate to people is that there's a large population of vulnerable people along the county line road.
Mm-hmm.
So you have Sunny Pines, you have the dialysis center, and the 3 schools. And so all those folks are there. So we start talking about emergency services.
Mm-hmm.
So where those folks are, there's a small batch of them annexed into town, and we can provide them fire protection, police protection, but we don't have any access to first aid or medical emergency. So then the 2 counties have to get ready, Jamal.
I apologize, Mayor. It's important too to add in there that Andrews, the town of Andrews, doesn't control the you know what I mean, what you're getting at, the ambulance services stuff. This is county level stuff, and we're struggling to bridge that conversation between the county, you know what I mean, so they can be responsive to the actual needs of the people on the ground.
And so the lack of knowledge on that and understanding of how this thing functions, popular opinion put the onus back on Andrews with respect to the EMS, and that's not, we don't have control of that. We've never, and that's a county asset. So it's always been my concern about this vulnerable population. If the medical, is there a mutual agreement between counties that I don't know, and I don't, just based on the stories I've heard over time and what I've seen now, there isn't one. And so we covered, and the other point you made, and I'll just add some numbers to it. Andrews covers about 11,000 people in that 29510 area. And that goes out to Osita, all the way out to, I think, Trio or Earls.
Mm-hmm.
And places, any place that you have an Andrews address and you're in Williamsburg County, the assumption is I can do something about it. That's not true. So then that's again the importance of our elected officials along those lines, both at the county and others, to get involved, be a part of this conversation. And how do we bridge this gap? As you know, we're still battling, not having an ambulance inside of the city limits, which has been there for probably more than 40 years. It's moved 5 miles outside of Andrews, and then have this railroad crossing that could at any time impede it, responding. So time has expanded, and so we need a higher level conversation about just, this problem. And so, and I think it gets back to, if we, and this is, and guys, and whoever's listening out there, this is not a knock on anybody. This is a conversation we're having now with an experienced, state level official and an attorney that we got to add a little bit more. We got to continue this conversation so we can make this thing make sense. And that's where I am right now.
One thing I wanted to add to, Mr. Mayor, to piggyback off of what you said, is that with the ambulance services, the state has sort of moved towards privatization. Okay. Yep. And in theory, that sounds good, but private businesses are there for one purpose, and that's to make a profit.
That's right.
And there's certain services that you should have that should be there regardless of if they're profitable or not. And that's an ambulance service. And I'll put it to you in this term. So when a person has a stroke, the first 30 minutes of treatment are vital. That determines not only will they live or die, but whether or not they'll be able to recover from the stroke. Well, by my math, you guys are you're 30 something miles from the new hospital in Kingstree, you're 18 miles from the hospital in Georgetown, and God knows how far you are to Myrtle Beach and or Charleston. So your people in those communities, when they have a health crisis, they are at a severe disadvantage because they just can't get to the help.
That's
And
right.
so to have an ambulance service in the town of Andrews is vital, and it shouldn't be predicated upon whether or not it's going to turn a profit. That's just you got to have that. You just do based upon where you are and how separate, or else you're going to have the quality of life further diminished because people will get sick and their chances of recovery go down because they can't get to the help that they need in time.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So those are the things. And again, appreciation for you being on this call, and hopefully this is something we can
Yeah,
develop.
Attorney McKnight, I'm just going to ask you, to give us a soft commitment on whenever you're available. We need you in to add to the conversation, because again, there's a lot going on. We got to cover the school district in Williamsburg and Georgetown County, things that we need to really have conversation about. That's really driving that's affecting what the future of Kingstree, which is the crown of the new Black River State Park.
Correct.
Shout out to the Black River Protectors. I want to give them a shout out right there real fast. Go ahead.
And let me just say this too. Everything is not necessarily doom and gloom in Williamsburg County, because I don't know if you've ridden up 521 lately and seen all the new homes that are being constructed, or you come through the backside of Osita through Jerusalem and see the $1 million homes that sit off the way. So there are things that are going well in the community, but what's happening is we're becoming the bedroom community for wealthy people from Charleston who can afford to just come and have a huge house, second home here. But that doesn't trickle down to the rest of us because we're still at a tax deficit. We're not generating that, and our population here is becoming older, and our senior citizens are seeing that their property taxes are going up while their income stagnant. So people are having to make hard choices. So there's some positives here, but there's a whole lot of work to be done. And yeah, I'll be glad to help you any way I can. Like I said, Andrews is near and dear to my heart. As a little boy, I used to come to Andrews at least twice a week with my mother and or my father, because my dad used to bank at South Carolina National. It used to be right downtown. Now I can't remember. I think the recreation department has that business now. But growing up, coming to Andrews all the time, all the friends and family members and Masonic brothers that I have from Andrews, shout out to Andrews because I'm a member of Gideon Lodge 428, located in Andrews. I definitely have a lot of love and admiration for the town of Andrews. They're wonderful people there, and just so you know, and I'm gonna just tell you, I'm greedy. I come to Andrews probably once every Wednesday to go to Tony's Famous Pizza to get a cheesesteak, and I'm probably gonna go tomorrow. So I need, I'm jealous of y'all. I wish we had one here.
Hey, were you a fan of the Super Chick as well?
Yeah, Super Chick. Yeah, I love Super Chick. Of course, that goes without saying. But I mean, Tony's, since it came to Andrews, it's more accessible than having to go to Georgetown. But yeah, you all have done some good things. A lot of good things. I've attended a few of your festivals. I'd like to see you all make some more strides in revitalizing your downtown. There are a lot of wonderful buildings that have lots of potential in Andrews. And so we desperately need to get some more industry in here. And I'll tell you that I was there, but there's a lot of things that are available to us via the World Wide Web. There are ways to have businesses that don't necessarily involve manufacturing that pay a good quality wage We just have to put ourselves in the position of getting them. But you know, I understand the city of Andrews has got some challenges. Every place has got some challenges. But you know, I'm optimistic you guys will meet them. But the one thing that I want for all of our communities is I just want everybody to be able to go to sleep at night and be safe. And
That's
that's the most important thing. And I want our children to live to bury their parents, not the other way around. I can't think of any greater pain anyone can feel than that being a parent and know that their child is no longer there. And in particular, I want our young men to be something. Um, I'm a product of the area, poor back, poor upbringing. Yeah, maybe I had a little bit more than others, but relatively speaking, we were poor. But I want everybody to have an opportunity to maximize their lives, particularly our young men. And we've got to stop what's going on now, or else we're going to lose a generation of young men to violence. And I don't think anybody wants that. And that's something that goes across racial barriers. It affects the white community just like it affects like it affects the black community. This is our problem, not just anything. And so we're going to have to come up with positive solutions to make those things come to fruition.
Absolutely. Yeah, and again, as we work closer together, I'll be able to sit down with you and show you. We've got some hard plans in place for revitalization of Main Street, and so a lot of effort is going into that. Very fortunate now to get some funds towards that and connect us to the Black River. So this vision and plan, we have a lot of that. We'll get you caught up on that piece, and I'm with you all the way. I think speaking with a victims advocate again as I was driving up here, I think we came up with a concept now to regionalize the effort in terms of getting after this gun violence thing, and then the use of technology and some other things. It's very, very immature in terms of here, but it's something I think now that we have to realize that this problem is not just in one city or town. Mm-hmm. And so then our efforts can't be just in one city or town. It's going to have to be regionalized and incorporate a lot of folks in technology to get ahead of these situations that we're seeing that is happening in both of our town city. And so we'll share that once we get a little bit more meat on the bones there. But we're going to have to get proactive, the people I'm talking about.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
And so
that's a key part of it. This doesn't work if the people are scared. If because it's going to take some work to get out. And I heard, the guy earlier, he was talking about, the churches and whatever. Bro, I appreciate you. I won't knock the church, but you're going to have to get out here on the street. You're going to have to get out here and do some real work. And
let me
Lori,
say this, and I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
I'm a person of faith, but one of my favorite quotes from the Bible is faith without works is dead. Absolutely. You gotta believe. I know the Lord's gonna do it, but he ain't gonna do it for me. We have to put the work in. And what we can't do, we'll let the Lord take care of that. But we have to demonstrate that we're willing to put in the sweat equity to get our community where it needs to be. We just can't pray it away. We got to pray and work to make it happen.
Absolutely. And Ms. Glisson, listen, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. All right. I don't remember. As a matter of fact, if you want to tell me what my next show is, I got a Sony A7 II right here that needs to go to the shop, and it's going to be about $500 to fix it. All right. So I'm going to put my Cash App over here real fast. Right. And if you don't donate to my Cash App, then I'm probably going to have to block you. Right. Because you cannot come in and hijack the conversation. Read the room. Okay. If you can't follow along, I'm sorry. If you want to hear about, the gun violence where we started at, go back to that part of the conversation. But please don't get in the comment section being rude to people. I'm trying to be, you know what I mean? But you don't send me $600 to get my camera fixed, and you can dictate the next show that I do. You can tell me exactly what it's going to be, and I'll do exactly what you want me to do. But don't come in here being rude, clouding the comment section when people are here actually trying to learn something. This is a high level conversation over here. So I can be condescending, and that's what you want. But you're going back and forth, people trying to tell you, chill. But you want to talk about what you want to talk about. $700. I said $600 earlier, but we're going $700 now.
Man, you're getting expensive.
Okay, and fix this camera for me, and we can do that. But other than that, come in, enjoy the conversation. Don't cause problems, okay? And guess what? No matter what we say here tonight, we're not going to solve the problems of we're trying to add to the solution. And I apologize, guys. I had to do some house cleaning there, but let me put my cash app for it. Let me put my cash app for it, because again, if you're gonna run my show, you gonna have to pay. I mean, I had to pay to put the show on. Like, come on, man. Like, but anyway, go ahead, guys. I listen. All right, I tell you what. I need to calm down now. Musa. There we go. Musa. Focus. Hey, Greg Hill. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, brother Hill. Thank you. Musa. All right, let's get back on track here. But yeah, because we get ready to wrap here, because I want to be able to we already had like an hour and a half, and I want to be able to repost this video so people get to it, because the way the algorithm works, the live this live feed will be. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Mayor, is there anything you want to add or you wanted to address while we were here?
No, I think you guys covered it. Again, it kept me awake listening to you guys. I was traveling up 95. But I enjoyed it. I think it's some things as your favorite phrase, we can unpack and get a little bit more in detail as we now take this conversation, and maybe the next one, will be just strictly gun violence, whatever it is. But I think this was good.
It's whatever we want to talk about. This is our podcast. Yeah. That girl, now, if she send me that $700, then I'm gonna have to send y'all
Hey, don't sell out. Don't sell out, man. But I think a lot has been discussed here tonight, and we got to find ways now to make this thing actionable. Mm-hmm. And I think the concept that I discussed today with this victims advocate is maybe something. Again, I get you guys' input once we kind of get it sketched out and see where we go. But I do know that we can't. We have to stop trying to solve the problem within our own respective places, because it bleeds over. There's no jurisdiction for criminal activity.
Right.
There's no jurisdiction for gun violence. So it comes over. And again, where we uniquely sit, we're going to get that stuff come to Andrews and vice versa. So we're going to have a regional solution. But I appreciate it, man. I'm good. I'm unwind here, man. And, I got some things to do up here in the big city.
Hey, you see who I got with me over here? You see who I got my boy sitting back there? I knew you was going to DC. I had to put my boy up, man. Hey, listen, this who the dudes in the neighborhood. This Freddie Brown and old man and them. This is what they called me growing up, because they came in the house to visit my uncles when we were growing up, and I'm sitting there watching the trial, watching the Senate hearing with Ali North right here. But I just had to throw Ali back there. Ali got my back tonight.
Yeah, when I saw him, I assume it had something to do with this Valor.
Yeah, there you go.
Going on. So you gotta have some context.
Yeah, and listen, guys, I apologize, but we'll get back on it, because there's a lot to unpack, and I don't want to just skim across topic. No, we need to kind of needle down into what it is. But I kept seeing something in the comment section that's really got my attention, and I'm going to do some research on it. Please send me some information, Ms. Lane, about this. You guys heard about this? There's a solar farm going along the river somewhere or something like that.
Yeah, I've heard about that. I've seen that a few of our county council people are in opposition of it.
Okay.
So I'll just tell you, I'll say this, and I don't have the science background to back this up, but it's been my experience that with technology, stuff comes out big and it gets small. Give you a classic example. One time, a computer that you're using right now used to take up 2 huge warehouses full of stuff. And now the computer is small and it weighs less than 2 pounds. So I say all that to say that, yeah, those solar farms are ugly right now, but eventually the technology will whittle down to where it'll be smaller. And, I can understand why some people don't want them. I can understand why other people do, but, we need to be looking at all our, everything should be on the table for the community to decide what it is we're going to do as far as revenue and what we're not going to do as revenue. But we also need to also remember that we need to be good stewards of the environment. One of the good things about living here is this nice rural and green and clean, and we kind of want to keep it that way for future generations, and at the same time permit some growth so that the community can grow and flourish. So it's just one of those conversations that we're going to have to continue to have. But what we need to do is be proactive and not end up the way that we ended up here in Williamsburg County with a landfill where we did knee-jerk stuff, and now our taxes are so high and we're having elderly people not being able to pay their property taxes and are losing their homes and their land. That's not good.
Yeah, that's we're the same thing in Georgetown County. The millage rate doubled because of what I consider the knee-jerk reaction. But again,
yeah, well, at least you guys have growth. I mean, Georgetown County is one of the particularly Georgetown, one of the fastest growing counties in the state. I mean, where you guys are, there's real growth there, and I'm of the opinion that growth is going to further migrate towards Andrews as people look for cheaper property because Charleston's getting the price out.
Horry County's full.
Horry County's full. So yeah, there's some there's some real opportunities that could present itself for Andrews to grow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate that, and I couldn't agree with you more from where I sit. And to your point, as with a little caveat, and I recall coming in when the discussion was going on about the mining over in Williamsburg County. A lot of concern. Same thing for the solar farm in Lambertown. So, and I was right there with them. I was with the people who were saying, "Hey, look, this is not going to work. There's going to be all this blasting." Well, I think it's been going on for several years, and I haven't heard of a blast yet.
No.
So we get concerned. I think we have more concern about things we're not familiar with.
Properly, we don't have the intel on it. We don't have the intel. We get a sound bite and pop, here we go.
Right.
So we're going to have to really, as you said, get involved, learn a little bit more about it before we stop a potential economic growth opportunity. And so I'm learning that, and just got to look at it and trust each other, and then know a little bit about it before we take to social media. And this cause all kind of rift, because at some point in time, these folks that want to invest in your town and cities and counties are going to go somewhere else because they're reading your comments that are not, in favor of what they're trying to do.
That's not, if I'm a business owner and I'm checking King Street right now, like we said earlier, I'll probably go to someplace else. You know what I mean? Just because of what are we seeing out here? But guys, listen, I'm gonna go ahead and pin it right there because we at 145, and I want to be able to reload this up for folks that can't hang out this late in the conversation, so they can be watching this to work tomorrow or listening to it. But Attorney McKnight, I appreciate you, sir. I need you to don't go offline yet. I need you to hang in there so we'll just think and load, and we'll be able to do that. But I appreciate everybody in the comment section tonight for adding to the conversation. Lori, I still love you. Just don't come try to hijack my conversations. I get a little personal about that. You know what I mean? And so there we go. And I hope somebody got some. Again, Mayor, you be safe up there. Guys, y'all be safe. And everybody, we out. And if you need a good attorney like Andrews, the podcast got, here we go.
Yeah, please do. Thank you.
In times of trouble, you need someone who knows the law, knows the community, and knows how to fight for you. The law offices of Caesar McKnight, right here in King Street, South Carolina, is committed to protecting your rights and protecting your future. from criminal defense, personal injury, to family law. When the stakes are high, experience matters, and so does someone who listens. Call today and get a competent, passionate, and effective legal team on your side. Because when life hits hard, you don't have to go through it alone. The law offices of Caesar McKnight, justice for real people, serving the Kingstree and surrounding South Carolina communities. Call now or visit the website today or stop by for a free consultation.